My friend's ex-mater passed away and think he is getting away with it. Rosie and I grew up together since kindergarten in a conservative area, and she has pretty conservative parents. Rosie was very introverted when I met her. It took weeks for her to talk to me in a normal volume. In contrast, I was a very loud and outspoken child, and over the years it rubbed off on her. Her parents are very nice people and have never said it to my face, but I know they think I'm a bad influence on her. We were in the same school until we were around 14 when she moved away and we lost contact for a while. Neither of us had smartphones back then. We would email every month or so, but she had very limited computer time as well. When we were 18, we got into the same college and reconnected, although we don't see each other often because her studies are very demanding. We weren't as close as before, but we still talked a couple of times a month. I still considered her an important friend. 2 years ago, she got her first boyfriend, Darius, and it was obvious she had never been happier. I had never met him in person, but have only heard good things from her. Her family knows about him and approves of their relationship. But around 2 months ago, she found out that he had been secretly filming their sexual activities and posting it on porn sites. He did not censor her face, and he had amassed a not insignificant number of followers from these videos. She was mortified and heartbroken, but did not want any of their mutual friends knowing for fear that people in real life could potentially search and see those videos. Since their social circles are very intertwined, she had no one to confide in, and I was one of the few people who knew. She stressed that her parents could not find out. They were under the assumption that both her and Darius were Christians and were saving themselves for marriage, and if they did, they would likely cut her off financially. Her mutual friends with Darius did not know what happened, just that she dumped him and it didn't work out. She was very depressed and suicidal afterwards, and having dealt with depression and suicidal thoughts myself, I took her out almost daily to check on her and so that she could have someone to vent to. Her other friends noticed she was down, but she attributed it to dealing with the breakup and the stress of impending exams. I don't know what the exams are supposed to be called in English, but it's something like the bar exam for lawyers. It's a big deal. The day she died, I went to pick her up from her dorm for dinner, but she didn't answer her phone or the door. She lives in a single room. I don't want to go into the details, but I was the one who found her. She didn't even leave a note. I had to call her parents and tell them about it. When they came, her mom started shouting that I was a bad influence, that I gave her depression, and implied that I drove her to kill herself. I heard through the grapevine that Darius told her parents they were only on a break and were working things out, and he has been comforting her parents and helping organize her funeral memorial. I am disgusted. I want to tell her parents, but I don't want to tarnish Rosie's memory. I also don't think her parents will believe me. I am not invited to her funeral, and I am wondering if I should go anyways. I want to see her one last time, but I'm afraid I might cause a scene if I go. I also haven't cried once since the incident. I think I may still be in shock. I am waiting for the grief to hit me, but it still hasn't yet. I feel like I'm supposed to be traumatized, but all I feel is numb. But I'm looking for advice on whether to go to the funeral, whether to approach her parents or confront Darius, and if so, how, and I guess just how to navigate this whole situation emotionally. Please let me know if this is the wrong sub to post in and I will post elsewhere. And I know Reddit is the first to suggest therapy. I'm on it. I can't afford individual therapy, but I'm on a wait list through my university's mental health program. I don't have an exact timeline for when I expect to be seen yet. Edit, I tried replying to all the comments but got a bit overwhelmed. Thank you all for the advice and hugs. I want to clarify a few things and share what I've decided so far. Thanks to all your help. Rosie deleted all the videos she could find when she found out, and we talked mostly in person. I have some texts from her saying how betrayed she felt and how exhausting it was keeping up appearances and pretending to be fine, but nothing concrete. I have decided not to go to the funeral. I want to respect her parents' wishes, and it probably wouldn't end well anyways. I'm working on finding out who else Rosie told. She said she only told 2 other Instagram school friends. I did some IG sleuthing and I believe I found one of them. I sent a message asking to talk about Rosie, but she hasn't responded yet. After the funeral, I want to tell Rosie's parents part of the truth so they can have some closure and kick Darius out of their lives. I want to punch his face in, seriously. I hope to enlist the help of Rosie's other friends who have more credibility with her parents. So far, I'm thinking of telling them that Darius filmed her in the shower without her consent and posted them. That way it's 90% the truth, and I wouldn't have to reveal that they had intimacy. I will leave the decision to pursue things legally up to them. Update. Hey, just wanted to write down my thoughts and update anyone who was wondering about how things went after Rosie's funeral. Some info that is relevant to this update. Rosie and I grew up in religious families but both deconverted around high school. She wasn't religious for the duration of her relationship with Darius, but her parents believed she was still Christian. I know firsthand how damaging purity culture can be, and that was why Rosie did not want people, and her parents in particular, finding out about her having had intimacy, even if it seems normal for most college students. Also, I said in my last post I was very loud as a child. That was true. I was feisty and kinda obnoxious, but my personality did a 180 in high school when I got diagnosed with depression and anxiety. Now I am introverted and do not have many close friends. Update. I reached out to Rosie's high school friend Maggie, who I believe she also confided in about the Darius incident. Rosie had also told Sophie, another high school friend. The 3 of us swapped stories and ended up reaching out to Gwen, Rosie's best friend in college. Gwen was doing an exchange program overseas at the time of Rosie's death, and she had no idea all this had been going on. Rosie had been telling her everything was fine and that she broke up with Darius but didn't want to talk about it and that it was mutual. We decided to tell Rosie's parents an abridged version of the truth. We told them she was filmed in the shower instead of during intimacy, because we felt that where we go from here is ultimately their decision and we shouldn't make it for them. Gwen is on good terms with her parents and met with them to tell them in person. Thankfully, they believed her right away. With Rosie's parents' blessing, Gwen blew up all of their group chats telling people what Darius had done. She also spread the abridged version. Within a couple hours, Darius's ex Nora, a 21 female from about 3 years ago, reached out to Gwen to say that she had also been filmed without consent and was too scared to say anything before. Nora made an official statement with our school, and the school is investigating Darius. Nora and Rosie's parents have also went to the police. Nora had more solid evidence against Darius, so hopefully they will convict him. Unfortunately, this meant we had to come clean about what Darius had actually filmed. Rosie's parents weren't as mad as I feared, and didn't hold our abridging the truth against us. There's no verdict as of now. The legal system works surprisingly slowly, and personally, I suspect Darius will get at most a slap on the wrist because his parents are well off and well connected. On the bright side, his social reputation is completely ruined. Most people trusted Gwen and Nora's statements and gave Darius hell. He took a leave of absence from the school, and he will likely have to go to college overseas if he ever wants to graduate because everyone in their major knows about it now. Some alumni from their field even caught wind and got involved. It's really very chaotic. I've asked Gwen not to involve me in any of this besides giving the police any evidence I have and maybe being called to witness, of course, because my mental health has taken a huge hit from all of this and I don't have the energy to keep up with all the details. I have asked her to give me any significant updates though. Personally, I'm doing as well as one can after all this, which is to say I'm struggling but hanging in there and depressed but not suicidal. Thank you for all your condolences in the last post. A few short personal updates from me. Rosie's parents, after Gwen told them, they reached out to me and asked to apologize in person. I didn't want to see them, so we agreed to a phone call instead. They apologized profusely for lashing out at me. I forgave them. They didn't know what was going on. I was hurt, but they had just lost their daughter and were understandably very emotional. I probably won't have much to do with her parents going forward. I didn't see them very much before, but I am glad to have resolved this misunderstanding. The funeral memorial, Gwen was not able to sit down with Rosie's parents until after the funeral. She also had to miss it because she was still overseas at the time. We waited until she came back, so sadly I missed it. Rosie was cremated and her parents gave us Gwen some of the ashes. Gwen took Maggie, Sophie and I to her and Rosie's favorite spot on campus and we set up a picnic there. We spread some of her ashes there, had a moment of silence, and started swapping stories about Rosie and her life. I had my first real cry after Rosie left, maybe 3 weeks after her death. It was very cathartic and hopefully the first step to healing. Therapy, I told my parents about everything and they helped me find a therapist with a shorter wait list than the ones in school. I did an intake session and I can expect to be seen in as little as 2 weeks with a therapist that specializes in grief counseling. In the meantime, I went to some support groups with Maggie, Sophie and Gwen. I personally don't think it worked for me because every time I talk about it, it's like reliving the whole experience for me, so I will stick to therapy. Sophie and Maggie are still going to sessions. What next? My semester is almost over, so I'm trying to tough it out until then. I've told professors in my department about Rosie, they've heard about what happened, and they've been really kind, and I've been given extensions on most of the work I missed. I'm not sure if I will be going back to school next semester or if I'm taking a break to recover mentally from all this. Maggie, Sophie, Gwen and I have bonded over the shared trauma. Rosie had a pretty consistent taste in friends, lol. We will be keeping in touch and leaning on each other. That's about it from me. Thank you if you've read this far. Typing this out helped. Edit, I was feeling bummed about the whole thing, so I typed this out and ended up taking a long depression nap. Thanks for the comments. I will try to get to all of them now.